We know football is a premier sport of the world, and it is renowned as a beautiful game, and without a doubt it is. But even behind the beauty, there does lay a much darker and uglier side to the sport. Now, football at the highest level is an extremely performance-based business, so is there any wonder as to which lengths the higher-ups may go to manipulate results in the best possible way? Who the hell knows? So let's dive in and explore some of football's biggest controversies, but it's your boy the Sport Effective, and boy, do I have another tale to tell you. So let's go straight into the deep end and let's speak on Barcelona. Barcelona unquestionably are one of the most storied sports organizations in history. They've been one of the most successful teams to ever grace a sport, producing some of football's greatest dynasties, players and coaches. They boast one of the richest histories with many successful eras, particularly from 2008 to 2012, an era that has been renowned as the birth of the UEFALONA period. Now what the hell is UEFALONA? I'm going to show you right there what it means. It's pretty much a way of saying that Barcelona were corrupt and had UEFA's favour throughout the whole time. Barcelona had Lionel Messi at their core, and let's be frank, every single team with Lionel Messi has a chance of reaching success beyond their wildest dreams. But try telling that to Chelsea in 2009. I mean, we remember the 2009 Champions League semi-finals. That game was a true blockbuster, one for the ages, but it's seen as a primary example for supposed corruption instigated by Barcelona. And the peak of it was a PK handball that wasn't given, pardon the pun, which then transformed to a dramatic last gasp winner by Barcelona through Iniesta, which resulted in a ridiculous but understandable breakdown by Didier freaking Drogba. Then, there was also the 2010 Champions League semi-final versus Inter Milan, in which Sergio Busquets cheated his way into a controversial red card for Thiago Motta. It was even ironic that Motta pretty much premeditated this before the game. Let me show you this quote he said. "Surely it is why when Jose Mourinho managed to do the unthinkable and leave a two-legged tired Barcelona as the champion, he couldn't help but release his ecstasy and celebrate as if they won the whole competition. Because being Barcelona back then felt like more than just putting the goals in the back of the net. It felt like you also had to defeat an omnipotent, invisible figure too. That's how powerful they were." Now, Arsenal fans are also going to recall the controversial red card that Robin van Persie received in 2011, which dramatically changed the tie in their eyes. But come on, I mean, you know how Arsenal fans are and their delusion. But it is true there was something questionable about that red card, and there's questions to be raised for the 2017 tie against PSG. Like, two things can be true at once. First, it's true it was unacceptable for PSG to squabble a 4-0 lead, for sure. But to lose 6-1 at the Camp Nou, it was questionable. Like, I remember Barcelona sending a letter to UEFA listing all of the referee mistakes that occurred because they were in so much disbelief. There is no way in the VAR era that Angel Di Maria would not have been awarded a penalty for the challenge on him by Javier Mascherano. But I guess that is the benefit of VAR today, isn't it? It's there to limit the controversy that is so known in football. And then in 2023, it was revealed that Barcelona was indicted for briberies worth over €7 million to referees over a 17-year period, which definitely made people believe that Barcelona were not beyond bribery. Now, after all this, tell me what the hell you think. Whilst it hasn't been factually proven, it can be concluded and it most definitely cannot be denied that UEFALONA is one of football's biggest conspiracy theories. Now let's talk about international football. We're going to speak about the 2002 World Cup in South Korea and Japan. Now, the 2002 World Cup was surely a World Cup to remember. After all, it is the biggest sporting event in the whole entire world, and there was a lot to celebrate. It was the first World Cup hosted on Asian soil, and it was also where Ronaldo dazzled and produced one of the biggest bounce backs after the 1998 World Cup, and it put Ronaldinho on the map. However, the 2002 World Cup had a much darker tone behind it, a very, very dark tone. First and foremost, eyebrows were raised with Japan and South Korea hosting the actual tournament. Not only had there never been a joint co-hosting over a World Cup, but Japan had also never qualified to beforehand, and they were obviously granted automatic qualification for the finals. Now, questions were raised during this period with people wondering if Japan had paid FIFA a generous payment to make things like this happen. I mean, that did sound shady, but don't you think it was very shady? It was perceived as a political motivation for FIFA to have political ambitions in Asia in the near future. But if that was not enough, then a round of 16 tie against Italy had to hold some questions. Italy was a known powerhouse nation, boasting superstars such as Paolo Maldini, Francesco Totti, Gianluigi Buffon, and Alessandro Del Piero, so they were always going to be on paper favourites against their less known counterparts, South Korea. I mean, apart from Ji-sung Park, apart from Heung-min Son, can you tell me any South Korean footballers? You probably can't. But this wasn't the case, and the game seemed even, or should I say uneven. The Italians will claim that there was a 12th man behind being the referee. South Korea committed an astonishing 28 fouls. I repeat, 28 fouls resulting in only 4 yellow cards, and it really roughed up the Italians without punishment. Francesco Totti received an extremely harsh red card for simulation, yet the South Koreans avoided a red card or 2 for an illegal 2-footed challenge and an elbow on Del Piero. There was also an egregious offside call called for the Italians, which resulted in a controversial disallowed goal. Followed by all this, the Italian media speculated that FIFA had manipulated the results to keep its Asian market happy by keeping them in the tournament. Oh, I even forgot to mention that against Spain in the quarterfinals, there was even more controversy, as Spain were disallowed 2 perfectly fine goals, which to this day, the Spanish could not understand why it was disallowed, and therefore the game was forced to a penalty shootout, which as we all know is a game of chance, in which South Korea subsequently won. Funny enough, the referee for the Italy game, who was called Byron Marino, was later caught and reprimanded for match fixing in South America, and was ultimately banned from refereeing, and I mean FIFA had a crazy corruption scandal in 2015, with then FIFA president Sepp Blatter being convicted for corruption. But I guess that's what VAR is for partially, to limit these abhorrences from occurring in-game, and justice was ultimately served as Italy and Spain went on to win subsequent World Cups. Now, the 2002 World Cup will always be one of the most scandalous events in football, and unfortunately it is one of the primary factors in which why there's always commotion when a tournament is hosted on Asian soil, due to the wonderings of whether it's a sporting reason or a political motivation. Well. And last but not least, we're going to speak about the French. We couldn't wrap this up without speaking about the French mutiny. So let me tell you and give you a little history lesson here first. What the hell is a mutiny? A mutiny in simple words means a premeditated rebellion towards authority, as simple as sailors planning to overthrow the captain of the ship for their own selfish reasons. Ironically, it's also a French term. So now we've got a history lesson out the way, let's talk about the absurdity of the French national team in the 2010 World Cup. France have always been one of the major sporting nations, and they always succeeded in tournaments. But one thing about the French was when things went bad, my goodness, the hell did they go bad. Now, I mean, they weren't exactly strangers to rather disappointing group stages. I mean, look at the 2002 World Cup exit and Euro 2008. The bitterness from Euro 2008 traveled all the way to South Africa for the 2010 World Cup, because France had crashed out the World Cup group stage in embarrassing fashion. Controversy followed them everywhere this tournament. I mean, there was a supposed mutiny against the manager Raymond Domenech, but players also boycotted training sessions to show their rebellion, because Nicolas Anelka's exile and sending him home for the World Cup, rightfully so, after using profanity against Domenech, was seen in angst. Now, I'm not saying rightfully so that Nicolas Anelka wasn't sent home, he was, but what I'm saying is that the controversy caused all of this bullshit. Now, as a result, the French players ganged up on Domenech and refused to train. French captain Patrice Evra controversially almost got into physical altercation with their fitness coach Robert Duverne over the mutiny. French players had grown even more frustrated at Domenech for benching accomplished players such as the great Thierry Henry, who had already publicly came out expressing his dismay before the tournament, learning he would be benched. And if it couldn't get any worse, the height of the mutiny was when the French squad literally ordered the team bus to return to the hotel, leaving the coaches and staff empathizing for division in the squad. Raymond Domenech did not back down, and he hit back by reading a letter to the press from the French players discussing why they refused to train, highlighting their petulance and upset at Anelka being sent home. I mean, that was pretty much public confirmation that we had been seeing a mutiny. Hell, at the time there was even discussions that there was a division between the players. We all know the French national team historically have been blessed with multi-ethnic squads. But at this time, there were discussions of a division between players of an African descent and a European descent. And that was it. After a 2-1 shocking loss to the host nation South Africa, who France should never be losing to. France had been eliminated in the 2010 World Cup in one of the most embarrassing and controversial fashions, conducted by a professional organization as if they were a soap opera. The French mutiny will definitely go down as one of football's wildest controversies. And there we go. As I said before, the beautiful game does unfortunately have a much uglier side to it. It doesn't go without any drama. But I guess that's why it's the entertainment business, isn't it? That's why we love it. There's an abundance of major controversies and conspiracies and scandals. But hey, what would the fun be exploring them all at this moment? But well, if you let me know down below some controversies or scandals that you would like to see next. But it's your brother Sport Effective, and boy, we will see you next time.